Good afternoon, YouTube. This is man always George Page coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, this is still Black History Month. It's the month we recognize people of my community, of the Black community, who have contributed so much to it, and who have done so many things that I would say firsts and greatest things that really set us, you just set us up for so much in this world. I mean, you know what? It's just so much that we as a culture and as a not as a race, but as a people have contributed to this country and to the world. Now, this is a gentleman who had contributed something to the world, being one of the first black news anchors in history. And this is one Mr. Lester Don Holt Jr. And you know him, he is the anchor on NBC News, nightly news. And, he's just one of these great men who have, made history. As I said again, being the first black man to anchor on a major news network. And just so much he has done during his time as an American journalist and as a man of the reporting of major news. Now Lester was born uh, March 8th of 1959, and he was originally his family lived in California, where he was born. Now he was the youngest out of four kids, and his mother June and of his mother Lester Senior. Now his maternal grandparents were born in Jamaica, and his maternal grandfather was one out of 14 children of Indo-Jamaican father from India, and his mother, his grandmother on that side was a white Jamaican and from England. Now his maternal grandmother May was born in Jamaica, but she was raised in New York, where his mother was born. Now he's also Jamaican roots are on his father's side, because his father's parents were from Jamaica, and that's great. He's got a lot of mixed cultures in his bloodline. Now, now he graduated from Cordova High School in '77, and then he went on to California State University, but he didn't graduate from California State. So but around '81 he became a reporter, and he worked for WCPS TV in New York. Then he met his wife, Carol Hagan, and they too they got married. Now they have two sons, Stephen and Cameron, and they are, I think the love of his life. Being that he's a father, he has his two sons. They pretty much look like him, but and later on, he moved in '86 to Chicago, where he worked for another a news station, and then he also worked at the anchor desk. He reported on something like Iraq, things going on in Iraq or Northern Ireland, Somalia, a lot of other places where there's a lot of turmoil. Now, he also came back to to doing anchors. Also, he one time he was disc jockey. He did that for a while too, and then he worked for MSNBC in 2000. In 2003, he became a full-time NBC News when he became the substitute anchor for the NBC Nightly News. And that was great. He was working. Also, he was doing MSNBC. He's doing Dateline and the Weekend Today. Work on Today Show. And it's so many men of color work there, like Brian Gumbo and Al Roker. There's a long. It's just he's one of three black men to do that. The morning news, and also he was, like I said, he was substitute you know anchor for Brian Williams. Brian Williams. He was the head anchor for NBC News for quite a long time when after Tom Brokaw retired. And but then you all remember, if you follow the whole incident where the Black Hawk lie. Yes, there's controversy when Brian Williams said he was on a Black Hawk with a bunch of soldiers and they or injured or something like that, and that was a big lie. Then he lost his space as the NBC Nightly News anchor, and that went to Lester. So Lester, became one of the first in history to be anchoring a major network news show. I mean, and you hear it with Scott Pelley and David Meir. I mean, that is It's legendary. And he talking to people like President Obama, and these two men, their backgrounds so similar. They're about the same age, you might as well say, being both of mixed cultures. And he's traveled the world to places like Afghanistan, Iraq, also Syria. I mean, he's hoped the Olympics over his time, 2008, and also 2020 Olympics. And he's been a very staunch advocate for news and reporting. He has done a lot over his career. And wasn't that long ago he was the moderator for the debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I don't like Trump. It was a that was a wild. I mean, I've seen some of that on video, and it was a wild debate. I just we had now with oh god, I can't stand Trump. And he's just one of these guys who's really been a stand-up man of really of I would say of the right of the news and report it and the truth, what's going on. He has won quite a few awards during his time, such as he won and also he's good friends with Al Roker, and Al Roker and him, this is crazy when they're dressed as the Blues Brothers, and and I liked it, Elroy and what was it? I forgot what John Belushi's character name. It was Elroy and dang, but they look like they could be the Blues Brothers, and this brother plays bass. This is a brother who plays bass guitar. I mean, in a band, and the band's like in his 60s and still playing in a band with a bass guitar. I mean, brother, we love bass. We love bass, and being a proud father of his two sons, his son Stephen is follow his footsteps. He works on NBC Nightly News, and that's gonna be, you never know. Maybe someday this will be the first in history. You might have the first father and son, anchors. I mean, you never know. Stephen might even take his father's place if he decides to retire. And being that he's like the new millennium, Brian Gumbo. Brian Gumbo was one of the greatest, news anchors for Good Morning America. And also, he sometimes substituted on, on nightly news. These two men, their backgrounds are just so much similar, you might well say. And he has won awards such as he won the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Award, also Walter Cronkite Award. He has multiple accolades as as a reporter, and just one of these greatest men next to here with Tom Brokaw. I always used to watch Tom Brokaw on Night News when I was going. Tom Brokaw, and can't forget Dan Rather and the late Peter Jennings. And right now there's a little thing. He has a little issue with him and Biden that I saw in while I was doing my research. How it is with the new president. The old president was just as bad, and he is, I would say, one of these great men who contributes so much to the news and to what's going on in the world, you know. And him, and got Peter Muir, you got him, you got old girl used to be on CBS Morning News. I mean, it's changing. It's like you pretty much are covering. You have a white male, you have a black man, you have a female, and and him and his wife Carol been together for you know 40 years, and and they're proud proud parents of two grown sons and also grandparents. He has the next generation to look forward to. So, like I said, Lester Holt has done so much to represent black people. Some people might not think that, but he's still a man of color. And he still has African descent in his blood. Even though he has so many different cultures in it, he's still who he is. And I'd like to give respect to him, for his sorry, his contributions to the world, to news, to the people. I mean, and to us. We got to recognize this is something that if you see somebody that looks like yourself, this was inspires children. Like when Obama became president, this inspires other people that want to be more than just what their stations in their life. Like I said, I got respect for Lester Holtz for what he's done, where he has become, and what he will be come on in for future generations. So much respect to Mr. Lester Don Holtz Jr. You see me all the way George Page. Sorry, that's true. You see me all the way George Page. Don't like, subscribe, I'm out.